And just like that, week 1 of the NFL season is officially in the books. And what a way to cap it off with the Jets and the Bills. But with that also being said, welcome to the final whistle. So basically on the final whistle, I'll go over some of the biggest takeaways from every NFL game all across the league. So I try to include every NFL game in here, but obviously I won't get a chance to talk about both. I don't want this video being that long. At most, I want this video to be 20 minutes. I don't want it going over 25, maybe even over 30, but I'll try my best, but we'll see. But anyway, if you think this is something you're going to enjoy, if you think you're going to enjoy hearing my voice, a lot of y'all think my voice is annoying, but I don't really care. But at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I got to do. So if you enjoy any of that, make sure you hit the subscribe button, tap the bell icon for future football content, and after the whistle every week, every Tuesday, pretty much around 12 or early mornings. So it's a good something for you to listen to, I guess. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So it would only make sense to talk about the biggest storyline in the NFL right now, and that's Aaron Rodgers. So early in the first quarter versus the Buffalo Bills, Aaron Rodgers went down with an ankle injury. He got up and then immediately went back down to the ground. Aaron Rodgers would be taken to the locker room where he would be ruled questionable to return after having x-rays that came back negative. Rodgers would then come out of the locker room with a boot on his foot, and he was then downgraded to out for the rest of the game. It was then reported by Rob Saleh that he feared that Aaron Rodgers might have suffered an Achilles injury that would have put him out for the rest of this season. This means that the number one man in New York once again is Zach Wilson, who Rob Saleh has once again indeed said will be the starter if Aaron Rodgers is out for the season. Losing Aaron Rodgers wouldn't be a big deal, as Breece Hall would manage to have a huge day on the ground, having 177 yards rushing, and their defense would absolutely step up in the end and being one of the main reasons why they would win this game. Josh Allen's play would be one of the main reasons why the Bills lost this game, as he threw 3 interceptions to Jordan Whitehead in this game, and most of these, well, all these passes were him just making really bad throws. Honestly, if he didn't throw at least one of these interceptions, I'd argue the Bills would have won this game pretty easily. Outside of the running game, the Jets offense wasn't necessarily doing a lot in this game in the first place, as for the most part, the Bills defense were holding them in check. Obviously, I would not panic on Josh Allen in this game, but he does serve a huge amount of criticism in this game for his performance. Joe Burrow was another guy who I would not panic on, as he went 14 for 34 against 82 yards and 0 touchdowns against the Browns in this game. The offensive line for the Bengals looked absolutely underwhelming at multiple times throughout this game, and the Browns defense absolutely dominated their whole way throughout this game as well. Bengals' next game will be against a banged up Ravens team, so if they wanted to bounce back, this is the perfect time to do it. But I have to give the Browns some credit. They went into their home stadium, gave the fans a show. They knocked off this Bengals team, Super Bowl favorites, and had one of the most high-powered offenses in the NFL, and they came in there and they did them dirty in this game, proving that once again the Browns might be on the map, and this is not a team you want to take lightly this year. However, they would not be the only AFC North team to get absolutely embarrassed week 1 of the NFL season, as the Pittsburgh Steelers got absolutely stonewalled by the San Francisco 49ers in their home stadium. 49ers defense the entire game just had their way with the Steelers O-line, making Kenny Pickett's life hell the whole day in this game. The only bright spot in this game was TJ Watt, as he had 3 sacks. This 49ers offense was just as electric as their defense. Brock Purdy threw for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey rushed for over 150 yards, while meanwhile Brandon Ayuk was the man of the day with the receiving corps, having 8 receptions for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. No matter who's at QB for this 49ers team, I think they're always going to be contenders no matter what. And here, once again, they established themselves once again as a contender. If it makes the Steelers feel any better, unfortunately, the New York Giants managed to perform even worse versus the defensive line on Sunday Night Football. To give you an accurate representation of how bad the Giants O-line is and how good the Cowboys defensive line is, Daniel Jones was pressured on 61% of his dropbacks during that game on Sunday Night Football. He absolutely had no way out of escaping this terrorizing Cowboys defensive line. The Cowboys managed to force 3 turnovers on this Giants offense en route to shutting them out 40-0 in their home stadium. The definition of walking into your trap and taking over your trap, unfortunately. Kind of like what Jordan Love did against the Chicago Bears, coming into Soldier Field, throwing for over 240 yards and 3 touchdown passes in a 38-20 victory over the Chicago Bears. Jordan Love had a lot of doubts coming into this season if he could be that guy for the Packers, and so far, he proved just that. Aaron Jones had a good day as well, doing things on the ground and through the air. He was absolutely electric in this game. More questions than answers right now for the Chicago Bears as Justin Fields went 24 for 37, 216 yards, 1 touchdown, and also 1 interception. He also had a fumble in this game as well. It's pretty clear that as of right now, the Bears are far from a perfect team as their offense and defense still needs work. However, it's only week 1, so obviously they have a long way to go and they have time to improve. But while Justin Fields has high potential as a quarterback, he definitely needs to improve as a passer, as that is still one of his biggest weaknesses as an NFL quarterback. We now slide into one of the more surprising victories this Sunday, and that is the Los Angeles Rams knocking off the Seattle Seahawks in a 30-13 victory. No Cooper Kupp? No problem. The Rams still had 2 receivers go for over 100 yards in this game. Tutu Atwell and the receiver from BYU, who I know I'm gonna, botch, but I'm gonna try anyway. Puka Nacua. But anyways, him and Tutu Atwell both were under 100 yards, with specifically 119 yards receiving in this game. Matthew Stafford looked like the same Matthew Stafford when he first came to the Rams in this game. However, he didn't actually throw any touchdown passes. It was Kyron Williams and Cam Akers scoring the touchdowns for the Rams all in this game. And it seems like as long as your defense is Aaron Donald, you're going to be good, as the Seattle's offense could do nothing whatsoever versus this Rams defense. Maybe we didn't realize before, but I think we were a little too hesitant to doubt a team that still has Sean McVay as their head coach and Raheem Morris as their defensive coordinator. And with the way those receivers played this Sunday, if Cooper Kupp comes back healthy, this might be a dangerous Rams team once again. Speaking of dangerous receiver, Tyreek Hill is probably the word dangerous itself, as he had 10 receptions this Sunday against the Chargers for over 215 yards and 2 touchdowns en route to the Dolphins, knocking out the Chargers 37-34 in an absolute thriller of a game. Tua also threw for over 465 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception in this game, proving once again that you better not doubt Tua. If he's healthy, he's going to be an absolute baller this season. Do not write this dude off that quickly. The Dolphins defense also showed up in a big way too in the fourth quarter, getting multiple sacks to seal the game for their team in this game. This Dolphins team is another team that could easily make a Super Bowl run too, as their team is pretty solid on both sides of the ball. And I said that Tua could easily be an MVP this year, and well, he's off to a good start so far. I'm not going to be wrong, because I know I'm not. These next 2 teams surprised me in more ways than one. The Eagles, I expected more from them in this game. I honestly thought they were going to blow out the New England Patriots. However, their offense came out flat. It was not the same offense we saw in 2022. Now, granted, they do have a new play caller in Brian Johnson, but I still expected more from this offense in this game. Outside of 1 touchdown pass, Jalen Hurts was nowhere near as effective as he was last year early on in week 1. In the end, though, their defense did step up and be one of the main reasons why they won this game, as their offense stalled a lot during the fourth quarter in this game where they had to settle for field goals and punts. On the other hand, Mac Jones did everything possible to win this game, and he did everything he could, throwing for over 300 yards, throwing 54 passes, completing 35 of them, 3 touchdown passes to 1 interception. Granted, that 1 interception was not on him. The Patriots definitely the number 1 wide receiver that can be an X factor for a team, as none of the wide receivers right now that the Patriots have are going to help this team whatsoever. On the other hand, it does look like Mac Jones is way more comfortable under Bill O'Brien. Once again, granted, he did work under him at Alabama. On the other hand, like I said, the Patriots did a really good job at limiting Jalen Hurts, stopping him from being explosive and being that MVP caliber player he once was in 2022. But in the end, though, like I said, the Eagles managed to make the final play in the end to come out with the victory. The Buccaneers and Vikings were once again another team that had me in shock because the winner. The Buccaneers came into Minneapolis, defeating the Bucs 20-17. The Vikings, who are known for coming from behind and winning games, finally got caught, and they were not able to win this one from behind this time. The Vikings just had way too many turnovers in this game that could have easily been avoided, and eventually the Buccaneers took advantage of these turnovers and ended up winning the game. Justin Jefferson did go crazy in the first half of this game. However, in the second half, he was basically invisible and didn't do much in this second half. Baker Mayfield didn't do anything crazy, but he did enough for his team to win, and he put himself in a good position for his team to win. The Buccaneers didn't necessarily have a lot of big plays in this game, and their running game was a bit, pretty bad too. This could be a concern. However, like I said, having a new quarterback, having a new offensive coordinator, they're still learning, so things can change. Just like these three guys who made their NFL debut as a starting quarterback in the NFL this past week. CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and Bryce Young. Starting with the Indianapolis Colts and Anthony Richardson, for the most part, he had a pretty good outing with this team. It wasn't crazy, but he did enough for his team to stay in the game, honestly. Not only did he pass for a touchdown, he actually rushed for a touchdown in this game as well, showing off his athletic ability in this game. However, a lot of this came in the first half, and in the second half, the offense and Anthony Richardson couldn't do much whatsoever. One thing that is going to hurt the growth of Anthony Richardson and the Colts going forward is the fact that they have no rushing attack. They were missing Zach Moss, and obviously the biggest one most of all, they don't have Jonathan Taylor. And this could be a problem moving forward if the Colts don't figure it out soon. Their defense, for the most part, was the main thing keeping them in this game, as they played pretty well against the Jaguars, forcing 2 turnovers on them in the process. But in the end, though, the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, and Calvin Ridley were just a little bit better in this game, and they managed to come out on top. And in the end, the Jaguars' defense played good enough to shut down the Colts in the second half and seal a win for them. With the way Calvin Ridley played, and with the way Trevor Lawrence is playing, like I said before, this Jaguars team has something to prove this year. And going up against the Chiefs, they're definitely going to have to prove a lot in that game as well. His game would be better than Bryce Young, however, who had a pretty rough game, throwing 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions against the Atlanta Falcons, both to Jesse Bates, by the way. Like I said, this wasn't one of the worst rookie games I've seen ever, so I'm not going to put too much weight on Bryce Young. However, those 2 interceptions were definitely costly in this game, like I said. But he's a rookie. He'll get over it. He'll learn from it. And it's all part of the process. Their defense didn't play too bad. I mean, for the most part, they were playing good in the first half. But then the second half, I think it got away from them. And that is when, that Falcons rushing attack kind of got away from them. And, that's when they kind of pulled away. And speaking of the Falcons, yeah, that deadly rushing attack is going to be something I watch out for all season. Tyler Algier, who rushed over 1,000 yards last season. And then you have Bijan Robinson. That is an absolutely scary running back duo. And if the Falcons utilize that all season, that is going to be absolutely scary for their offense and scary for opposing teams, in my opinion. Desmond Ridder didn't do a lot in this game. But however, he protected the ball and played, somewhat efficiently, going 15 for 18 for over 100 yards and 1 touchdown. A lot of people were asking why Drake London and Kyle Pitts weren't more incorporated into the offense. Drake London had 0 catches, while Kyle Pitts had 2 for 40 yards. It's week 1, so they maybe weren't trying to reveal too much yet, but we'll see as the weeks go on. Desmond Ridder, start to take more shots down the field, start to get more aggressive, and we'll see if he starts to include Drake London and Kyle Pitts more into his offense and more into his arsenal. Because I truly believe if Ridder can, keep playing well, this offense can be top 15 at best, in my opinion. The last quarter performance we have today is CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, for the most part, didn't throw a touchdown pass in this game. However, he had a pretty strong debut against the Ravens. He went 28 for 44 for 242 yards, 0 touchdowns, but also 0 interceptions. So for the most part, he took care of the ball, didn't make any costly mistakes. However, this Texas O-line is going to have a lot of problems, as for the most part, CJ Stroud was under pressure a lot of times throughout this game. Now, the defense actually played pretty well against Lamar Jackson in the first half, shutting him down. However, in the second half, that is when Lamar Jackson kind of turned up. Now, it was pretty clear Lamar Jackson was dealing with some rust in this game. He hasn't played since week 12 against the Broncos of last year before this game, and he had 2 fumbles and an interception in this game. So, yeah, it's pretty clear he's still dealing with some rust, and he's going to get over that. But for the most part, he still managed to show what he can do in this game. Despite the fact he didn't have a single touchdown in this game, for the most part, he still had some pretty good throws in this game, like a few pretty good throws to OBJ. As I said, the Ravens defense was pretty good too. Like I said, not allowing the Texans to get into an end zone one time in this game. However, unfortunately for the Ravens, they're dealing with a lot of injuries right now, specifically J.K. Dobbins and Marcus Williams, and apparently Ronnie Stanley is also injured as well. The Ravens already have a number of injuries on their team right now, and they're going against a Bengals team who clearly wants to rebound after getting embarrassed by the Cleveland Browns, and honestly, this is not a good thing to be looking at right now. Now we look at the Commanders versus the Cardinals, who came really close to beating the Commanders. Really close, pulling out the biggest upset of week 1 quite possibly. Even though the Commanders won, I think the Cardinals came out of this game with a bit more positives. The Commanders are here to prove to everybody that they're not going to take this lightly, and they're not going to be some taking team that's going to lose games on purpose. As they came after Sam Howell 6 times a day and forced 3 turnovers on him. With a defensive-oriented head coach in Jonathan Gannon, yeah, it said that this defense is going to be fighters all year, kind of like the Lions were. They were a tanking team clearly, but they were clearly a team that was also fighting in a lot of these games while also being a tanking team. The Commanders do have maybe a few things you might need to be concerned about. Sam Howell holds the ball way too long, and that was one of the main number 1 reasons why he was getting sacked in this game. But their offensive line, once again, it was not making things any better for Sam Howell as well. However, the biggest bright spot most of all is their defense was absolutely phenomenal, especially Jonathan Allen, who ended up being one of the highest graded defensive tackles so far, I think. And I don't think the Arizona Cardinals had an offensive touchdown in this game, so obviously the defense did their job and shut down the Cardinals on the offensive side of the ball. The Commanders, I think, are a good team. However, I think they're a good head coach away from being an even better team. I still think no matter what, the fact that the Commanders had to fight to beat the Cardinals is kind of concerning. And we're now down to the final 2 games on this list. We got the Titans versus the Saints in a very close game. Ryan Tannehill looked absolutely horrific in this game. 19 for 34, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The Titans did not get in the end zone 1 time in this game. And honestly, I would not be surprised if in a couple weeks, Will Levis or even Malik Willis is starting at quarterback for the Titans. With the depth the Titans have at quarterback right now, Ryan Tannehill's job security is not secure at all whatsoever. Their defense tried everything possible to keep him in this game. However, the offense not being able to do anything whatsoever ended up costing them. Derek Carr threw for over 300 yards in this game, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Chris Olave added over 100 yards receiving in this game as well. The defense side of the ball did their job, forcing, like I said, Ryan Tannehill to get picked off 3 times in this game, so the Saints defense did their job. The running game was not a huge factor for the Saints, but like I said, in the end, they managed to come out with a win despite that not being a huge factor. It wasn't, a pretty win. It was pretty ugly, but a win's a win. Now the final game on this list, the Raiders versus the Broncos, which is pretty much a defensive-oriented game, it feels like. The Broncos didn't even play bad in this game. Their defense played good. Russell Wilson didn't play good. However, penalties in this game ended up costing the Broncos. They got a roughing the passing penalty late in the 4th quarter, which set up Jimmy Garoppolo for the game-winning touchdown to seal the deal versus the Broncos. Which, by the way, Jimmy Garoppolo did really look good in this game. And he looked really efficient, only having 1 interception. But for the most part, he was good outside of that. The Broncos' defense is definitely still the bright spot for their team. Their offense, like I said, it wasn't bad. But it's always going to be their defense that is this bright spot for their team going forward. However, if Russell Wilson can play as efficiently as he was tonight and keep improving, who knows where this Broncos team can go, honestly. As for the Raiders, if Jimmy Garoppolo can play good and his defense can play good, who knows where they'll take us. I'll go over a little bit of the, Chiefs and Lions, but I went over it, a couple days ago. Obviously, like I said, a lot of the reason why this game was lost by the Chiefs is they had absolutely no receivers, and they were obviously missing their best weapon in Travis Kelce. But it also doesn't help that Kadarius Toney dropped 3 passes and cost his team the game. And their defense without Chris Jones definitely wasn't one that you could say, yeah, we don't need Chris Jones. But they brought him back in the first place. So in the end, all good things is good, I guess. The Lions didn't look anything special in this game. They look, average at best. It's not necessarily anything, blow the house up about or anything like that. But it was good enough for them to win at the end of the day, I guess. But I think this offense has major question marks outside of Amon St. Brown at receiver until Jamison Williams comes back at least. But yeah, I wasn't going to spend too much time on it. Honestly, my biggest takeaway from anybody who struggled this week it's okay. It's only week 1. You have time to get it together. Obviously, I think the first 3 weeks are the seasons. You wait until see if this team is bad or if this team is good. So if your team is bad by week 3, definitely be worried. But I would not be worried right now, especially if your team is good and you know it. Even if your team got blown out, Steelers, Giants, Bengals fans, Giants fans, I'm talking about you. Don't get too worried yet. There's still time to improve. Or for quarterbacks who struggle this week, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Kenny Pickett even, talking to you. There's still time to improve. So my message for all you teams so far, don't panic. It's only week 1. You got time. But anyways, that is it for the first episode of the Final Whistle. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys stayed the whole episode and, give me your thoughts on this first episode. Like I said, just the first, episode, getting my feet wet. I didn't do anything crazy. I didn't say anything crazy. Hopefully the second episode, that's where you'll see most of that. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you came this far in the video, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and tap the bell icon. Follow all my social medias. I'll leave that down below in the description. And I will hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Hope you guys have a great day.
Mask on fuck it, 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 mask got 50 likes and Randolph tryna blast off, he wasn't in the face. In my way, for a nigga better go pray. I'ma send killer where he stay. Walking down a little nigga, a minor with a micro drink. The drop we score, nigga, no one play.